BERBICE businessman robbed in front of his home. 65% of UG classes will remain online for the first semester. In the region, water in the desert, restoring wetlands in BAJA, California. And internationally, doctors in Nigeria struggle to cope as acute malnutrition soars. Greetings and welcome to another edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. Today, CEO of 93.1 FM and owner of Wireless Connections, Maxwell Tom, was laid to rest. Tom died on September 14th at the Lillian Dahl COVID Center to the dreaded COVID-19 disease. With COVID-like symptoms, he was admitted to the Georgetown Public Hospital complex and later moved to the Lillian Dahl COVID Center. Maxwell Tom was well known and loved for his morning gospel program on 93.1 FM, The Gospel Plane, and his continuous kindness to members of society. Police are investigating a robbery at Belvedere Village in Quarantine Berbice last evening. Inquiries disclosed that the victim, a 60-year-old male businessman, concluded his daily business at his place of business and headed home in his motor van with an undisclosed amount of cash and other items. As he arrived home and exited his motor vehicle to open his gate, he was confronted by two males who immediately drew their handguns at him and demanded that he handed over his cash and belongings. The victim hesitated to do so, and the two bandits then dealt him several lashes to his head and face with their handguns before carting off with valuables totaling $160,000 and an undisclosed amount of cash and several other personal documents. The bandits then escaped on separate bicycles. The victim was taken to the Port Moran Public Hospital, where he was seen and examined by a doctor on duty who treated and sent him away. Checks were made in the area for the bandits, but they were not found. Investigations are ongoing. A 42-year-old man was left in shock and seeking medical attention after being attacked and robbed at Good Fortune Housing Scheme, West Bank, Demerara last evening by two armed men. Inquiries disclosed that around 7:45 p.m., the victim was driving his motor car west through the Good Fortune Scheme. As he passed two suspects on a pedal cycle at the southern side of the bridge, he heard one of them shouted, quote, "Who are you coming through this area?" End of quote. The man claimed that he continued driving west to pick up a family member, but he noticed the two suspects on the bicycle behind his vehicle. One of the suspects then hit his car and the victim stopped his vehicle and exited. One of the suspects tossed the bicycle at him. They then approached him and dealt him several cuffs and kicks about his body, causing him to fall to the ground. They relieved him of cash and valuables totaling $100,000. They then made good their escape in an unknown direction. The incident was reported, the area was searched, but the bandits were not discovered. The victim was taken to a medical facility and given medical attention. Investigations continue. Don't go away after the break. 65% of UG classes will remain online for the first semester. And Chico Ramos gas station robbed by 4 gun-toting bandits.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brick Dam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8944.
milk has remained the same. Until now. Introducing the Great Dairy Full Cream Milk from Alabama Trading. Enriched with vitamins A to D and calcium to promote healthy teeth, strong bones, and vitality. Great Dairy Milk is delicious and fortified to encourage healthy cell growth within the body. No wonder it's the #1 brand of milk produced in Ireland. Now available nationwide in 400-gram packages at leading supermarkets and wholesale vendors. Distributed by Alabama Trading.
Welcome to Kissoon's Furniture. Find everything you need for your home and more under one roof in our newly decorated showroom. Our locally crafted furniture has been perfected over the last 60 years. From our hands to your home, we also bring to you our newly introduced lines of imported furniture and sleep center, where you can find a wide range of beds and mattresses. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 60 years.
Survival Shopping Complex brings to you its delivery service, Shop through WhatsApp. This process is simple. All you need to do is call or message your grocery list to 613-9683 and we will select your items for you and have them delivered directly to you, even out of town. This is convenient because we can stay on the phone with you as we select your favorite brands. We're happy to do your shopping for you. Contact us on WhatsApp today and shop Price Smart at Survival Shopping Complex.
Welcome back. Several persons, including a pump attendant and 3 customers, were robbed last evening at the Chico Ramos gas station on College and Public Road, East Coast, Demerara, by 4 gun-toting bandits. According to reports, around 8:30 p.m., 3 of the victims stopped at the gas station to purchase diesel for their motor vehicle. They all exited the vehicle and went to make purchases at a mini-mart on the western side of the gas station. When they observed that their vehicle was turned off, they immediately headed back to the vehicle to investigate when one of the bandits grabbed one of the victim's jersey and started to demand money and other valuables from him. The suspect dealt him a lash to his head with a handgun, then emptied his pocket of $75,000 in cash. Another suspect relieved a second victim of cash and valuables, totaling $400,000. He then dealt him one lash to his forehead with a handgun. The suspects relieved a pump attendant of $50,000 before proceeding to assault and rob the 4th victim. One of the suspects went into the cabin of the lorry and took 2 phones. The bandits then got into a silver car parked about 50 feet away from the service station and escaped in an easterly direction. The victims made a report to the Vigilance Police Station via telephone but were unable to identify the suspects because the area was dark. A 9-year-old girl was hit by a motor car on the Islington Public Road in East Bank, Berbice, and subsequently died. Enquiries disclosed that around 9 a.m., motorcar PJJ 2394, driven by Anthony Passad of Glasgow Village, East Bank, Berbice, was proceeding along the public road when it was alleged by the driver that the pedestrian ran east to west in his path and collided with the front portion of his car. As a result of the collision, she fell to the road and received injuries to her body and head. She was picked up in an unconscious condition by her sister and taken to the New Amsterdam Public Hospital, where she was seen and examined by a doctor on duty who pronounced her dead on arrival. The body is presently at the New Amsterdam Hospital mortuary awaiting a post-mortem examination. A breathalyzer test was conducted on the driver, however, he was not under the influence. He remains in custody as investigations continues. The University of Guyana will begin its new academic year on October 25, 2021 for the new and continuing students. As virtual orientation continues today and tomorrow, the university will open in a blended format for the academic year 2021 to 2022. Approximately 65% of the university's classes will remain online for the first semester due to the prevailing COVID-19 conditions and to accommodate major building work arising from recent extreme weather conditions. The remaining 35%, consisting mostly of laboratory and field exercises, are expected to be blended and face-to-face, delivered at various campuses for specific courses or part of courses only in the first semester. Students will be notified directly of the schedule as well as safety measures they are expected to comply with if any of these courses are to be held face-to-face. Don't go away after the break. Doctors in Nigeria struggle to cope as acute malnutrition soars, and Afghanistan struggles to treat drug addicts. But before that, here is the Brit Retraction schedule.
Survival Shopping Complex brings to you its delivery service, Shop Through WhatsApp. This process is simple. All you need to do is call or message your grocery list to 613-9683 and we will select your items for you and have them delivered directly to you, even out of town. This is convenient because we can stay on the phone with you as we select your favorite brands. We're happy to do your shopping for you. Contact us on WhatsApp today and shop Price Smart at Survival Shopping Complex.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Kingdom-based taxi service, transportation for every occasion. Short drop, airport, weddings, funerals, and much more. We're located at Lot H. Durbin and Vicingen Road, next to Green City Bar. For honest, efficient, and reliable service, call Kingdom-based taxi service at 648-5959 or 227-7937. You can count on us.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news in the region and around the world. The United States and Mexico are working together to bring life back to the desert. Water is being diverted to restore wetlands and forests along the Colorado River Delta. Al Jazeera's Manuel Rupalo reports.
The Colorado River Delta in the Baja California desert. For decades, waterless has been its defining characteristic, until a groundbreaking agreement between the U.S. and Mexico was signed in 2012, allowing water to flow, in parts, back into the delta.
Es importante mencionarlo, es un acta única.
It's important to mention that this accord is unique in the world, in which two countries, the United States and Mexico, decide to transfer volumes of water from one country to the other exclusively for the benefit of the environment.
The results of what happened when water was returned to the region speak for themselves. Gabriela Gonzalez, a scientist with the Sonora Institute, says since conservation efforts began, hundreds of acres of forest and wetlands have been restored.
It's a long process, and for the last 10 years we have registered a change from 50 bird species in the Delta, and 10 years after we have more than 360 bird species along the river, from the river all the way to the estuary where the river meets the sea. And here specifically in Laguna Grande, we have registered more than 162 bird species.
There's also footage now suggesting wild cats, including lynxes, are thriving, along with other endangered species like beavers, which had all but disappeared when water levels were critical. The viability of this renewed habitat, however, ultimately depends on a commitment from U.S. and Mexican partners to meet the demand for water. Environmentalists admit that there's simply not enough water for the Colorado River to flow freely all the way to the sea. But restoration projects like planting trees and maintaining wetlands like this one are delivering positive results for the region's ecosystems. The reason why the Delta dried up dates back to another agreement signed in 1944. Back then, the US and Mexico established exactly how much water each country would receive from the river and for what purpose, not leaving a drop for the environment. Gabriela says that while it was public policy that led to the loss of a flowing river, it can also be public policy that brings it back to life.
This place, Laguna Grande, or this project started as a dream, and 20 years later it's happening. So I can't imagine a flowing river, I can't imagine healthier ecosystems, and I can't imagine the river meeting with the ocean once again.
From May to October of this year, more than 43 billion cubic meters of water will flow into the Colorado Delta, ensuring, at least for now, the continued health of this natural environment. Manuel Rapalo, Al Jazeera, the Colorado River Delta.
Internationally, clinics and hospitals in northern Nigeria are struggling to cope with high numbers of severely malnourished children. Food shortages have worsened as violence by armed groups intensifies. Al Jazeera's Ahmad Idris reports.
Fatima Goni Musa and her one-year-old son are preparing to leave hospital after treatment for malnutrition and infections. They've been here for 2 weeks.
My baby was in very bad shape and was admitted. His daily therapy includes medicine and nutritious supplements.
Doctors at this facility, run by the International Rescue Committee with support from UNICEF, are barely coping with the high number of children seeking help.
Daily we see between 15 and 20 patients daily, but occasionally we do get out of bed space, and then where such occurs, we either ask them to come another day, the next day, or we ask them to go to another facility, or if we can give them any oral medication for them to take and then come tomorrow in the morning so that we can admit them once we have the space.
As Fatima and her baby prepare to leave, 6 mothers holding their sick children wait outside. Each is hoping their child will take up the next available bed space. It went to this mother and her severely malnourished child. As well as treating undernourished children, the hospital also treats and feeds mothers to boost their immune systems. What's happening here is repeated in many other hospitals in the city.
With crops about to be harvested, doctors and nutritionists hope malnutrition cases will decline. But there are no guarantees since inflation has hurt incomes and unemployment remains high.
The armed group Boko Haram launched an insurgency in Borno State 12 years ago. At one point, more than 80% of farms were abandoned because of attacks by its fighters. Millions of people were forced to depend on food aid. But with donations reducing, so are food supplies.
There is some levels of donor fatigue, certainly. There are so many crises, and unfortunately, the crises we're seeing are increasing day by day, location by location. There is donor fatigue, but we cannot afford that donor fatigue to continue.
On the ground, aid workers are struggling.
Looking at the problem at hand, resources can never be enough. What we are reaching, with the little we have, we'll reach the numbers we can. And for sure, I can tell you, there are a number of children who deserve this type of service, but we can't reach them. Either the resource is not allowing, or they can't be accessed.
Without adequate resources, it's hard for aid workers to know how many children need help. But with the cost of food going up, it's clear the number of those going hungry can only be rising. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera, Maiduguri, Nigeria.
And finally, an estimated 8% of people in Afghanistan suffer from drug addiction, and increasingly, many are children. The UN Office on Drug and Crime says that half of the parents who use drugs in Afghanistan also give them to their children. Al Jazeera Osama bin Javid reports.
This appears to be an ordinary classroom, but these children are being treated for drug addiction. With mothers who were addicts during pregnancy, some became indirect users in the womb. For others, it was when they were breastfed or their parents smoked drugs in their presence. This is Q. We can't reveal his identity. He's 12 years old and loves to sing. He became a heroin user after injecting himself using his father's syringe. The UN Office on Drugs and Crime says half of the parents in Afghanistan who use drugs give them to their children. One addict can affect the whole family. That's what happened to Nergis. She's on suicide watch.
Because of my husband, I became an addict. I have 2 sons and 3 daughters. All of them are here. I'm scared of my kids becoming addicts because I've seen how terrible it gets with my husband.
This center has run out of medicine because of the economic crunch and asset freeze by Western governments since the Taliban took over the country. Doctors and other staff members have not been paid for months. And the UN says only 10% of addicts it surveyed receive the treatment or rehabilitation they need.
These centers for addicts are not enough. There should be more centers and good treatment plans. Some addicts are homeless and they live under the burnt bridge.
This is the burnt bridge in Kabul. We cannot go closer to film as some addicts here have threatened to stab people with their syringes. One can be used by many people and spread diseases such as AIDS and hepatitis. Heroin, meth, cocaine, amphetamines and cannabis are all readily available. According to the United Nations, 90% of the world's illicit opiate drugs originate in Afghanistan. The Taliban has announced it will ban opium production, but without enough income from an alternative agriculture, that might be easier said than done. This man tried to escape from another rehabilitation center in Kabul that can hold 1,000 people. Social workers go out to catch others, but only when they have capacity. Drug users must go through detoxification, rehabilitation, and social care. Many of these men have only been here for a few days. They've been pleading to us to let them leave, but doctors here tell us that they need to stay here for 45 days so that they can go through this phase of withdrawal and actually get treatment. Keeping people drug-free is a major challenge. Up to 30% of people here return to using drugs, and those treating them say unless the economy picks up, many more will join them. Osama bin Javid, Al Jazeera, Kabul.
And that is it for today's regional and international news. Here now is your 3-day weather forecast. is it for this edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. Tune in on Monday at 7 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, take care of yourself and each other.